Hey all, welcome back to the channel, and yes, I know we didn't do the usual countdown slot on Monday. Monday, of course, was Boxing Day, and I was celebrating with my family. However, though a day late, the votes have all been tabulated, and we are now embarking on the best and worst of 2022. This is going to be the fan-voted top 10 best Transformers of 2022. That's right. This is the list amassed by you guys and your votes. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light up my baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links, all of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time right here on YouTube and become a channel member. So yeah, I was having some, bombastic, festive fun with my family and my friends and whatnot. So that's why we are slightly late. The voting went until midnight of Christmas Eve as of this recording. This is going to be, of course, the fan-voted top 10 best for 2022. Next week will be the fan-voted top 10 worst of 2022, and then following that will be my personal 10 best and worst for 2022, which may or may not be the same or different. We'll have to wait and see, but I do feel like everybody's lists this year will be wildly different because a lot of it really depends on your experience with a number of QC issues and whatnot. So what's actually covered on this list with this voting? The shattered glass stuff really was covered on this list. What else? Studio series up to about Sideways, roughly. Anything after that, not so much. In terms of Studio Series 86, we go up as far as Perceptor and Junk Heap. Not Magnificus. Magnificus, though some people do have it, is officially slated as the first release of 2023. In terms of mainline, it will be all of Legacy, though some places, again, as of this recording, have already gotten Legacy Evolution Wave 1. That will not be included here. Legacy Evolution Wave 1 onward will be part of next year. So everything after Sideways, everything after I guess Legacy Wave 3, the end of Legacy, and everything after Junk Heap and, say, Perceptor onward, and everything after, I guess, like the most recent round of Shattered Glass, that being the round of Shattered Glass that had Slicer and Flame War and Ultra Magnus, that round, after that round, right? So, just so we know kind of what we are doing here. Now, naturally, we do have an honorable mention, and honestly, I thought that this one might actually be higher. I'm surprised that it's an honorable mention. The voting, of course, Fast and Furious, and I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised by some of the entrants on here. Really surprised at kind of who got some of the support. The one honorable mention is the Transformers Legacy Transmetal 2 Megatron. That's right, Transmetal 2 Megatron, widely renowned as extremely popular, and maybe, some people will revisit him in Legacy Evolution because he is getting a re-release there, right? So, I mean, he could potentially appear on some people's lists this year and next year as part of really two different lines. But yeah, Transmetal 2 Megatron, he was an honorable mention. He was the only honorable mention. So what does that mean? You know what that means. That means we're going to do what we always do and kick things off with number 10 of the best of 2022 first. And coming in at number 10, I don't have an iteration of this character. It wasn't meant for me. And it's this guy. That's right, it is the Legacy Titan class Cybertron Metroplex. He came in at number 10, and I get it. The Titans are usually quite popular, and to be fair, he is generally regarded as having a stupendous robot mode, where he's full of articulation, so many joints, ankle tilt, he has heft, he's solid. A lot of people have said that his transformation scheme harkens back to the original in a lot of ways, which means it's familiar to fans of that iteration of Metroplex. He has the kind of big bot mode and then the more squat bot mode, so he has kind of both bot modes, and then he has his vehicle mode. His accessory, though gigantic, is quite accurate and nicely painted. A lot of people are a big fan of that as well. The jaw, while not actually an opening jaw, it does mimic that. I get it. The size being there. Unicron Trilogy fans have been waiting for so long for their part of the franchise to get revisited. And I sincerely hope for everybody that is a Unicron Trilogy fan that went in on this version of Metroplex. Maybe this is your version of Metroplex anyway. Maybe you didn't get the original generations and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to get this one. And I have seen some, like, city fan modes done, which, you know what, some of them aren't too bad. Cybertron Metroplex, man, the Titan in the Legacy line for this year, took the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, as of this recording at least, I don't have a version of this character either, and it's this guy. That's right, it is Legacy Inferno. Beast Wars, man. It's great to see Beast Wars getting some love on the list. While I don't have him yet, a buddy of mine does. I have seen it. The look of the paint is tremendous. It has a nice sheen on it. The opening jaw, the way the head and the blue and the purple is all done stupendously. It's all done very nicely. The texturing on the red is nice. It has a almost like a wet look to it, which harkens back to the TV show. We've seen this before with some of the Beast Wars Predacons especially. It looks tremendous. I've heard that the joints are nice and solid and smooth. I've also heard that the transformation is not only logical, but enjoyable as well to get to both modes. He generally has his features other than like the spring-loaded stuff. He looks the part. He looks great. The things that I did with the original, with like custom paint and whatnot, are already done here. You know what? What's not to like? Legacy Inferno took the number 9 slot. And coming in at number 8, this is the last one on the list that I actually don't have a copy of. Though I did review this mold, this iteration of this mold never ever, first nor last, appeared here. And this is one of the ones that's a little bit shocking to me because I heard some great things about it and I heard some complaints about it. And it's this guy. Yeah, it is this Velocitron Speedia 500, Robots in Disguise 2001, or Car Robots if you prefer, I suppose. Scourge. Now, he definitely has more coloration of a Nemesis Prime. There's a lot more black on his body, along with the pink translucent on his chest and on the shoulder pauldrons. When I see it, I'm not angry about it at all. I look at it and I think to myself, yeah, that looks like Scourge. But when I went in closer and I compared it to the original, I was like, yeah, the original did have more gray. There was definitely some more like tealy bluish highlights. It was different indeed. But I also think that this is quite a respectable update. I looked at the Laser Prime version of this mold and thought it was generally quite well done. A lot of people complained about it in comparison to the original. And I get it. The original was bigger and heftier. It was made out of, arguably, a more solid plastic. And it certainly had certain features that this one doesn't have. Though you can get upgrade kits and whatnot to do so. And honestly, I kind of like the idea that this one came, I don't want to say bare bones, but a little more bare bones, because it does allow you to get a number of upgrade kits and kind of make a Scourge or a Laser Prime into the most beefed up version that could possibly ever have. I thought the truck looked great and was quite convincing. I thought the robot looked great, even if somewhat stylized, and to my shock, I thought that the articulation was generally good, except for the fact that I wish that the shoulder pieces moved with the arms, because when you put that arm out straight, there isn't much of an elbow left. Nevertheless, for anyone who doesn't have the original, who loves the program, who wishes that there was an update, I think this is a respectable attempt at doing just that. And you know what? Enough fans felt the same way that the Velocitron Speedia 500 Scourge was able to take the number 8 slot. Now we get into the ones where I have copies of these bots myself, and number 7 is one of the most wildly popular releases this year. People seem to love it, even though there have been some issues with yellowing, and I'm talking about none other than Motormaster. That's right, Legacy Commander Class Motormaster. Now, mine doesn't have any yellowing issues. The trailer... the back tires, one side does have a little bit of a tabbing issue because of the weight and whatnot. But I think when people really voted for Motormaster, a lot of them said, look, if you even take the Menasor out of it, if you take the trailer out of it, granted, then he would be wildly overpriced at Commander. The actual bot is really, really interesting, clever, well done. Very interesting to get to the torso mode for Menasor. Very interesting to get back to truck mode. And I found myself sort of forgetting certain steps after not handling him for a while. But it kind of came back to me because there is an intuitive nature with it. Like, you know that the legs are going to somehow be the cab, by hook or crook. I forgot where the arms went. But once I remembered, oh yeah, they sort of tab underneath there, it started to flow back to me. His square head, I mean, has a beautifully painted, well done face sculpt. Very, very good. The Menasor head hides away nicely. The backpack is not egregious at all. Very small on the back. His coloration and his stylization, about as animation accurate as I think we could really kind of get. Even to the point of having, like, detail that is sculpted in here, like mechanical detail, so it's not just the windows. Are there certain liberties taken with the legs and feet? Yeah, a little bit, but it's not enough to make it at all egregious. You look at this and you know it's Motormaster. And you look at this and you know that, you know what? It really, really did a lot to embody the character. The articulation is pretty fantastic with really everything you could want. For those who have experienced the yellow, man, what a shame. And that's going to be one of those cases where if you did, you're probably going to have this be on the worst list. However, enough fans either didn't experience that or looked past it and looked at the good qualities of the articulation, the transformation, and the overall aesthetic and color scheme that old Motormaster was able to take the number 7 slot. Number 6 is one of the rarest this year, I would say. And one of the oddest because of the line it came in. It's none other than Velocitron Speedia 500 Cosmos. Yes, Cosmos extremely popular this year, extremely difficult to find. A lot of people said, hey, he should have had a bigger release, he was short packed. I agree 100%. A lot of people said that, you know, they haven't seen him or anything. I saw a couple. I helped a couple of people out. I was, I guess, fortunate enough to kind of see him quite early and get him straight out of the box, actually. I'm still thrown by the yellow paint compared to the yellow plastic. I wish that was a better match. But I will say this. As much as I love the Generations and the Titans Return, I believe they probably appeared on best lists as well. They're very, very good. This is also excellent. If you don't have it, should you have the fear of missing out thing? No, because if you have the earlier ones, they're tremendous as well. If you were lucky enough to find this one, should you be happy with it? Absolutely. Should you drive yourself crazy looking for it? No. Should you overpay a ton for it? No. But you know what? If he happens across your path, if the fates smile upon you, he's probably worth the pickup. I think the transformation is very inspired, very unique, very interesting. The paint is done quite nicely and there's a fair amount of it. And honestly, I think he succeeds as a UFO, and he succeeds in robot mode in capturing the like odd kind of stubby proportions look that Cosmos is well known for. He's definitely a success, but I wouldn't drive myself nuts looking for him. Is he perfect? No. I mean, for what you're paying for Deluxe, we have big hollow forearms. We have hollowness on the back of the legs. I don't think we should have to buy upgrade kits for that, for what we did pay here for this. He's quite excellent. I would survive if I didn't have him, but I'm sure happy I do. Enough fans were impressed with Cosmos that he was able to take the number 6 slot. And here we are at the most coveted of locations, the ever popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we also have, again, this is one of those that's going to be very controversial. Some people will have it be number 1 worst of the year, but in this case, these voters have made it the number 5 best of the year. And I'm talking about Sludge. Studio Series 86 Sludge. Now, I get it. If you had the yellowing around the neck piece, if you had the hips that just fall back, if you have the knees that don't work, then I get it. The tolerances on this guy and the issues that people experienced are unforgivable and extremely sad. I love the Dinobots. I specifically love Sludge the most. So I was, same with the loose wings, by the way, I was very much hoping that they were going to do justice to him. For me, luckily, they did. My copy's great. Like, I don't have the looseness issues. Mine, like, there's, you know, like his hips are fine. Well, that one went down a bit, but like his hips are fine and hold fine. His knees are fine and hold fine. You might notice mine has a couple of upgrades, thanks to our buddy Joe. But yeah, this is one of those cases where if you experienced the QC problems, then that ruined this experience for you. But if you didn't, if you got this guy working exactly the way that he's supposed to work, that he was designed to work, that he should be intended to work, then man, oh man, is he pretty excellent, with a shockingly interesting transformation that gives you a rewarding dino mode and a rewarding robot mode. But again, only if everything works as it should. Myself and enough fans felt that way, felt that he worked this well, that, you know what, I am very happy to say that it wasn't just me who felt like he deserved to be on the best list, that the fans felt like, with their votes, that he was good enough to take the number 5 slot. Ah, yes, so now we're into the top 4 for 2022, and this one shocked me, because honestly, I get it. I am so happy that this one made the list, and I'm shocked that even I'm impressed with it. It is none other than the Velocitron Speedia 500 Override. Yes, I'm not at all a Unicron Trilogy guy, not in the least. I don't think it's a well done series. I don't think the voice acting was well done. I think the story gets lost and plods through and blah blah blah. We all know that it's not for me. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I don't like the characters. I don't like the name reuses. Like, none of that stuff appealed to me. But I do know that there's a segment of the population now that are old enough that they can look back at these series with nostalgia eyes and would love to see upgrades of their favorite characters as well. When you have a subline called Velocitron Speedia 500, how could you not have Override updated in it? I wasn't sure I was going to get this, and I very much thought, I don't know, man, if that's a Voyager. This looks like one of those, like, they're trying to call it a Voyager when really it's a scam deluxe. I'll say this, the paint on here is great, and there is a ton of it. The transformation is inspired, interesting, yet familiar to the original, and works very well. Every single joint on this works like butter. Very clean, fair, very tidy. Yes, she did give up some mass, arguably a little bit too much mass in the Voyager department. I think they could have added a couple of more accessories, maybe a Cyber Planet key, though you can kind of use one. Nevertheless, even though I think she's a little light, she was also retailed here for a little less than a typical Voyager, which I found very interesting. About $4 less, honestly. So I'm like, you know what? I paid a bit less for her. I got a little less mass than I would have liked, but we did get more paint, more parts count. She has excellent articulation and an excellent transformation. Even I, a guy who's not at all a fan of the Unicron Trilogy, can honestly say I support the voters. I honestly understand it. I get it. Override took the number 4 spot, and based on fan votes, she absolutely deserves it. Number 3 appeared on several of the best lists last year because number 3 was released in the Kingdom line. However, it was released apparently in such short supply that a number of people did not get this character until the Legacy line this year. So he probably appeared on some lists last year. He's gonna appear on a list this year because fan votes made it so. And at the number 3 slot, we have Legacy Blaster. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I guess Rewind by association. Mine has a couple of upgrade kits again, thanks to our buddy Joe, including these fillers on the forearms. Pretty great. It's a pretty great mold. Some people went kind of crazy bonkers over this mold last year, and while I think it's quite good, I will also say this. The way that you kind of fold the arm up on itself, and then you unfurl the leg when you turn it to the side, maybe it's this way, you turn it to the side, no, this way, and you bring the leg up over. This rectangular tab, like, it needs to go in, what is it, the bottom of the elbow, I think it is, like, perfectly. Then when you fold the leg up over, I find it a bit cumbersome to actually fit it over his shoulder. I find the same thing with the shattered glass version of Blaster. But but if you can line everything up just right, then yeah, it works like butter. And some people can line it up just right every single time. Yours truly can't. It is undoubtedly an almost perfect iteration of Blaster. Yes, he did have hollow forearms. Yes, you can fix it. But even with the hollow forearms, I didn't notice it. I didn't care. And I get why they're hollow. The paint on the chest and the head, beautiful. Rewind is great in its own right. I mean, what a nice bonus to put in here. He is every bit a Voyager because the mass is all there. The parts count is there. The transformation is there. He does a very convincing cassette player mode. You know, the whole gimmick works nicely for the chest. In fact, maybe too nice because I find I accidentally pop it sometimes. The storage of his blaster on the back is fantastic. It looks animation accurate. He so much looks the part. I really love the War for Cybertron version, but I'm not going to pretend that as a G1 enthusiast, this didn't pretty much hit all the marks. About the only imperfections that I could point out is the black hair on the shoulders shouldn't be there, but you know what? It's interesting enough, so I'm okay with it. And I did paint the red dots in on his legs. I do have, shout out to Event Progenitor, I do have some toy hacks for this guy. Life is life, man, and I just haven't gotten around to being able to do it and get them on. I thought I was going to be able to do some of it this past summer, but this past summer was a lot of, well, let's just say a lot of things came up over the summer that kind of kept me knocked down a bit. Nevertheless, I digress. As we're doing the best of 2022, I'm very happy to say for you that based on fan votes, Blaster took the number 3 slot. And man, oh man, at number 2, I still think that the fans got it right. I think the fans nailed it. In fact, when I did the review of the character at number 2, I said then that in the modern era, with the prices that we have, this needs to be the measuring stick, along with Cyclonus, of what a Voyager needs to be. As a matter of fact, I even said, if I was going to levy a complaint, if I was going to levy a criticism, the only thing I would say is that in the alt mode, there should be 2 more flaps that would cover a certain hollow area. However, even without them, I don't notice the hollow area. It didn't bother me in the least because everything that's done right is done so right. Naturally, I'm talking about Legacy G-Axis. Luckily, mine has not at all yellowed anywhere. I know some people have said that their hips and whatnot have yellowed. Mine hasn't. I'm very, very, very thankful of that. However, even if they did on this, because of the yellow that's on him and whatnot, I don't think I'd be necessarily angry about it. It would be unfortunate, sure. But I think I would be able to handle it better than I can with other ones that I've had to fix. Like I had to fix it on Shattered Glass Starscream. I had to fix it on Netflix Soundwave. I don't know if I'd necessarily have to fix it here. Don't get me wrong, I don't want it to happen. But if it did, I think I could look past it. There's no hollowness here in robot mode at all. There's, you know, even like panels for the forearms here. He comes with 2 accessories, 3 if you count this thing up here, I suppose. There's a ton of paint on the guy. The articulation works all across the board. Everything you could want is here with a good range of motion too. Like look at that knee, you know? The thigh swivel, very free flowing. The arms, I mean, you know, when you go out to the side, if you want to pull it out, you can get even more out to the side. There's very little here not to like. Even the way the hips are, like, yeah, okay, so going back there's a little limit, but going forward the whole hip piece is built there and moves with it. I think that for example, the Studio Series Ironhide, I think that the hips on that should have been done like this, because it still looks like a hip skirt without being a hip skirt. This is what a Voyager needs to be. This and Cyclonus is what a modern Voyager needs to be. When you look at a Voyager, ask yourself, is it as good as G-Axis? Is it as good as Cyclonus? If the answer is, no, it's a little less, then it's not a Voyager. Sorry. This guy, the measuring stick. I can't argue with it. Enough fans felt the same way that G-Axis was able to take the number 2 slot. And here we are at number 1 for the year. And while I think this list has been kind of wild, and there's a lot on it that I do agree with the voters on, even though I know that there are people who will disagree because of their QC issues, number 1 by and far took the lead and never let up. I'm not surprised that it got the support that it did, just because of the way the fandom is. But for me personally, it's interesting because I could see it being on people's worst list because of people being disappointed with a lot of QC issues that this release had. For me, I avoided a lot of the QC. I don't know if I'd put it at number 1 necessarily, but it's none other than the HasLab Victory Saber. And I was lucky. Mine doesn't really have the QC issues that a lot of people experienced with this release. It wasn't perfect. I don't have my review up yet, and as a matter of fact, it's going to go up this week later. Friday probably. And when I look at it, I do a number of comparisons with other Autobot leaders because it's apt as to part of the value for this guy. I do the math. Is the full value that we were charged here based on the actual math? I do that as we go through. I will talk about a number of the QC issues and what I experienced and what other people experienced and what I was able to avoid that other people experienced. It's definitely an interesting one, and anybody who knows me knows that I've not been supportive of the HasLab concept. I didn't feel good or clean about using that method to get this guy, and I have kind of trailed the trek all the way to getting him in hand. Was it worth it? Because a lot of people got him and they were automatically like, I'm really excited. I was never once excited. I had a lot of feelings, but excitement wasn't one of them because I'm too analytical for it. I think enough fans waited for so long, were so excited, and finally got him in hand that for good or bad, for right or wrong, he was going to get their vote, he was going to get their support, and he took the number 1, or they took, I guess I could say, the number 1 slot for 2022. And there you go, 10 down to 1 once again, based on the votes by fans for the best Transformers of 2022. I didn't say a whole ton there about Victory Saber because I'm going to be saying it up and coming in the review and kind of cover all of my thoughts and feelings there. Who else got votes? Junk made a strong showing. Bulkhead made a strong showing. And though I said it's not a Transformers Prime Bulkhead, like that's not Bulkhead, I did say in the review that he's quite excellent as like a generic Transformer, as a generic bot. Wild Rider got a couple of votes. Dead End did. 86 Rumble. Clampdown got a fair few votes, actually. I was a bit surprised. Menasor as a whole got votes. Sideways from Studio Series. Point Blank. Magic Square Legends. Delta Magnus got some votes. Who else? Studio Series Fallen got some votes. Black Zarek did. Perceptor, 85 RC, 86 RC. Alita 1, Minerva. Studio Series B, Ratchet. So the Bumblebee movie Ratchet. Who else got some votes here? Studio Series Wreck-Gar, but I think he was last year. Grimlock did. Slug did, or Slag did. Again, I think they were actually last year though, so I guess some people got them this year. XTB's Commander Stack, Flame War, MPM Blackout, Fans Toys Jive, the Shatterglass, Jetfire and Shatterglass, I guess Ultra Magnus, Delta Magnus, MP Reboost, who else here? Okay, Dominicus, no, Dominicus Promenon. I'm not sure who Dominicus Promenon is, but I know it was an MMC release. Skids. Who else? Tarantulas. Authentics RC. There was a guy who voted for it. He always does, like, he'll always put in a vote, but like, it's an idiotic vote. He's a pretty arrogant guy, to be honest with you. Like, I'm sure he does it because he thinks he's funny, and he also thinks he's like one of the main guys in the community. And he's really not. He's a joke, and he doesn't realize he's a joke. Fans Hobby, God Delta, Siege, Mirage, Wind Girl, and Shadow Strip, Iguanus, and let's throw in one more. Let's throw in Jackpot. Why not? Even he had a couple of votes. There you go. 10 down to 1 once again, and a whole bunch more. Did your favorites make the list or not? Remember, the next one will be the top 10 worst as voted on by fans. Let me know who your favorites were for the year, who it was that brought you joy. Thank you for coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Yeah, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us. Especially don't forget as we head into 2023 that somehow, some way, each and every single day, each and every single year, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.